Greetings, fellow mortals. I find myself confused by the cancellation of the Batgirl movie. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Even if this film was the biggest pile of trash that we have ever seen, throwing away $70 million for a tax break seems absurd. I mean, HBO Max is right there after all. They could have thrown the movie onto the streaming service and got something out of it. I know that the film was going to be a pile of poo-poo-ka-choo. I didn't see this version of Barbara Gordon having any decent character arc or an interesting plot line. At best, it was going to be a generic by-the-books experience. Not to say that a Batgirl movie couldn't work, it could. Barbara Gordon is a really interesting character. They could write many intriguing stories about her, especially if they brought in her transformation into Oracle and the turmoil that she would feel over losing her ability to walk. But the usual projection of hate, focusing on nostalgia, and defending the film with politics as an excuse for terrible writing were all there, as usual. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I don't have a problem with diversity and politics in storytelling. Obviously. As always, I want different perspectives and appearances when possible. There are several characters that I would love for DC to focus on instead of randomly changing Batgirl though. Vixen, Rocket, Bumblebee, Nubia, or the female version of the Crimson Avenger all come to mind. I'm sure that anyone that would just call me racist knows all about those characters and how amazing the stories about them would be. Despite the fact that I didn't think that the Batgirl film was going to be that good, I still find myself thinking about its cancellation a lot. I don't think that it could have been all that bad. I mean, DC pushed out Batman vs. Superman, the Justice League, Wonder Woman 1984, and The Birds of Prey. Those were bad films in every sense of the word. Not that they couldn't have possibly been good, they were just a mess when it came to the script and the visuals. Good God, some of these DC movies give me a headache to watch sometimes. I doubt that Batgirl could have been worse than any of those tales. It's not like Leslie Grace comes off as a terrible person either. I wish she got a DC movie with a better script and a character that everyone won't be complaining about no matter what happens. In comparison to her, Aquaman 2 and The Flash look like dumpster fires. Amber Turd has become the most hated actress in the world after the trial with Johnny Depp. I haven't seen an actual person in real life that doesn't think that she abused Depp. At worst, they get really quiet and say that Depp wasn't the best husband either. Then there's Ezra Miller. I don't know what's going on with that person. Ezra's been acting like Russell Crowe from South Park for a while. Making movies, making songs, and fighting around the world. Or just Hawaii. Those poor people. Dealing with mainland Americans and tourists had to be bad enough. They didn't need Ezra Miller making their lives miserable, not to mention Ezra's weird relationship with minors. So maybe Ezra's more of a Dragon Ball fusion dance version of Russell Crowe and Michael Jackson. So if those two movies aren't being canceled, why is Batgirl? I know that Discovery has taken over Warner Brothers. The executives on top must have a drastically different vision for DC than what's come before. Of course, I don't even know what DC's vision even was before the takeover. The movies were all over the place when it came to tone, styles, themes, and writing. Not to mention the TV shows. I have no idea what some of those hot messes were. But I did enjoy Peacemaker. I hope that they keep John Cena around at least. But at this point, they might not even do that. At the very least, I see them keeping Black Adam. They don't want to make The Rock mad after all. From the looks of things though, it appears as though Discovery is thinking about going for a hard reset for the DC movies, which I think would be a good thing. I don't feel any investment in the DC movies. They're barely in my mind at any point. At most, I cared about the new Batman movie that came out. Besides that, there's nothing since the Joker movie, which is a film that does not need a sequel, by the way. It's not like this is Marvel and Disney. That company can push out whatever they want and still make money. The machine won't stop. They're definitely going with quantity over quality at this point, which is leading to superhero burnout to the point where I don't even want to think about the next show or movie to come out. What's next for them anyway? She-Hulk and Wakanda Forever. November 11th, huh? Well, I guess the last 2 months of this year will have the internet explode from toxic dialogue between two very different sides. I'm sure that the people will be very calm over what will end up being a mediocre movie. So, what is DC going to do? I honestly have no idea. I know what they should do though. They should push past the current mess that they have, minimize their losses, and make a whole new plan. Normally, I don't advocate for hard resets. I prefer when a series and franchise delight in their lore. I want them to usually accept the mistakes of their past and build off of it, kind of like what God of War did. But I don't think that they will work in this case. Everything about the DC movies is fractured. It's a hot mess. I have no clue what they could do to keep it going at this point, other than just to keep making random movies. So maybe they should go for an Infinite Crisis event to reset everything. They need a completely new foundation. Restart at the beginning. Maybe build off the 2022 Batman movie, or incorporate it with a new Superman movie. Instead of making the Superman Jesus garbage that was Man of Steel, maybe make a story that focuses on his loneliness as a person. Create a film where his biggest difficulty is creating bonds with Supergirl and Superboy. Make us sympathize with someone who has the power of a god by showing him hating the solitude that he feels on a daily basis. Then embrace the Greek mythology side of Wonder Woman. Have her go on wild adventures that couldn't exist on the mortal plane. Focus on the Flash's reluctancy to even want to use his powers, let alone be a superhero. Also, get rid of Ezra Miller. Bring in Martian Manhunter, the Jon Stewart version of Green Lantern, and Hawkwoman. Take inspiration from the Justice League cartoon. Most importantly, put people in charge that actually care about all of this. How many times do we hear about people in the comic book industry, Hollywood, or even the video game industry hating the fact that they have to work on superhero stories? Get those people out of there. You can find people who love or obsess over these characters. Get a few people like that, get them to make a 10-year plan and outline everything that you're going to do. Finally, they need to make actually mature stories. And I'm not talking about adult stories like with The Boys or Peacemaker. Those are just raunchy excuses to mock the superhero genre. Instead of deconstruction, parody, or mockery of the ideals of superheroes, show the characters going through the real struggles of having powers in a powerless world. Show the characters' loneliness, their insecurities, their fears, their struggle to set an example for people, their problems with government and giant corporations, their pain at the idea that they can't fix everything no matter how powerful they are. We don't need edge, excessive violence, nudity, brooding, cussing, or pandering references. Instead, just show people trying to do the right thing but struggling because they're just people. Use examples like Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Good Place, Soul, and other mature stories that everyone can enjoy as an example going forward. I was going to throw One Punch Man in there too, but that one technically does have graphic death scenes and nudity, mostly male butts though. Anyway, I do think that there is good that can come from Batgirl's cancellation. I think that it shows a sign of someone high up in Discovery wanting change. All I hope for is that it's positive change. There's always a chance that this could be the beginning of a path with even worse writing, or a path where we don't get any new DC stories at all. All we can do is hope, which I suppose doesn't amount much in Hollywood, but that's all we have right now. So let's wait and watch. Oh, and for those of you that desperately want to see this Batgirl movie, don't worry, it will come out in some way at some point. For all we know, this could be a release the Snyder Cut situation. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It would really help me out. Also, remember that I'll be self-publishing my novel, Dance of Frozen Death, at the start of 2023. I hope that you will check it out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.